Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Alrighty, I am going through the different maps and whatnot that are owned, or that I own in DCS, and wanted to look at the Normandy 1944 map for DCS World. So, of all the maps in DCS World, this is probably one of the most limited ones in a way. Well, let's take a look at it. So, if you get the Normandy map and you own the A10, you get a nice little variety of missions you can fly. Very cool. If you own the Normandy map and you have the Viggen, you get the Harbor Strike mission. This is by far one of my favorite missions in all of DCS World. However, what you didn't see right there is I owned the Normandy map before, but I didn't own the World War II Assets Package, which basically includes objects and stuff to be used in the mission editor to create the more realistic World War II environment. And until I got both, this mission that I'm loading right now would not load. It said you don't own the World War II Assets Package, so, you know, we can't load the mission for you. So this is a pretty cool mission. This is a really neat looking harbor that looks like a World War II era harbor with World War II era naval ships sitting in the harbor. And we are tasked with blowing them to hell. Although, this little region right here in this little area is about the coolest thing I've seen on the entire Normandy map. So, I don't know. There's just not a lot to this map, I think. Or maybe I'm missing stuff and I haven't seen it all. But I've fooled around with a lot of stuff in DCS World. And, the Normandy map is the one that impresses me the least. Alright, there's my bomb queue. And I tried hitting that sub and there we go. I hit him. And I took him out. Very nice. Look what they did. So look at the terrain. It looks nice, and this little harbor looks really nice, but it looks hand-drawn to me, you know? Almost coloring book-like. But that's usually what Europe looks like, too. It does look like a big, giant patchwork quilt, if you will. But this is a really fun mission, because you could just keep turning around and shoot back over there and drop more of these high drag bombs and just totally decimate this entire harbor. Super fun. One of my favorite things to do. But again, this whole map looks just completely hand-drawn, you know? Doesn't really feel organic to me. That makes any sense. And again, if I didn't own the World War II Assets Package to go with it, I wouldn't even be able to fly this mission. I'm also running this on the settings that I use for VR. So the trees are kind of breathing to life and falling in on their own. There we go. To keep the performance better. I didn't want to change it just for 2D viewing. So that's a pretty cool mission, and that looks really nice. Nothing really to complain about there, other than the Normandy map does tend to look patchworky to me. Okay, if you have the Harrier, you get nothing with the Normandy map. If you have the F-16, you get this mission called Free Flight 6th of June 1944. And it's kind of like a what if you got transported back to, you know, the day of June 6, 1944, and you had an F-16. Kind of like the final countdown. And it's interesting. But it's more of a free flight mission than anything. And it's just for fun. And the F-16 is in early access, so, you know, it doesn't really have that many missions to begin with.
This is a free flight mission. We used to become familiar with basic aircraft handling, which is to explore the area. There are no threats.
Yeah, there are no threats. But as you can see, there's all the landing parties, there's smoke going on over here. So basically you just kind of fly around and get familiar with your F-16 over Normandy. I'll just make a run up this waterway here. And like the other maps, there are some areas that look nicer than others. As the trees come breathing to life here. Again, that's because of the settings I have for VR. They're just going to sprout up as we get near to them. But the trees even in this look really weird, you know what I mean? Like crappy sprites. I don't know if you can see it, but they look like sticks. Until you get really close to them, do the leaves actually, you know, start to be drawn. Almost look like cactuses in this map for some reason. Just a lot of farmland, kind of a Europe thing, a bunch of little towns like that over there. Again, this is more of a, you know, World War II setting than anything. Actually, let me see something here. This is really annoying me. What is Capto Glove and why do I even have that? Tree visibility, let's just do that, because in 2D I'm able to draw them all and the performance really doesn't hurt me. In VR, it really puts a hurting on things to have all these trees. But again, even with them at 100%, as you can see, the trees just look kind of crappy. But lots of farms, lots of smaller European villages, as one would expect to find in Normandy region. And once you get to altitude, it looks like a quilt. Which again, does seem more of a fun thing to do if you're playing with World War II stuff. But I think the problem, and I mentioned this in my Spitfire first impressions, is that the DCS World, it would be super expensive to get into and enjoy World War II with. Because IL-2 has this corner marketed very well, and for like 16 bucks you get one of the IL-2 packages that come with like 8 planes and then a map, and it's a pretty big map, and there's a whole lot of missions given to you and a whole lot to do, where DCS World, you pay 50 bucks for a Normandy map, and I think it's like 30 bucks for the World War II Assets package when it's not on sale, which is just preposterous, man. And then to buy a World War II module, like a Mustang or a Spitfire, you're talking $50 when it's not on sale too. So what, $130 for the Normandy map, one World War II Warbird plane, and the World War II Assets package. Like, really? And then, like, the Spitfire, for instance, didn't even come with a campaign, so I had to go buy a campaign for it, and when those aren't on sale, those are $10. So what? Now we're at $140. For $140, I could probably buy everything that there is to buy for IL2 when the IL2 stuff is on sale. So, what's that? 30 planes or more at your fingertips, and what, 4 maps worth of stuff? You know what I mean? You see what I'm talking about? It's like, DCS is great for this modern jet fighter stuff, but man, they've got to figure out a way to be more competitive in the World War II market. But again, at altitude, this map doesn't look terrible. It just looks like every other World War II map I've ever seen of Europe, you know? So that is the F-16. F-5, you get a few missions, which is rather cool. F-14, you get a couple missions. F-18, this was a fun mission. I did a video on this low altitude reconnaissance mission. Definitely look that up. It's a challenging mission and it is very cool. Flaming Cliffs, as expected, you've got a shit ton of things to do in the Flaming Cliffs stuff. That's one thing that they've been really good about, you know. If you buy Flaming Cliffs, man, I know they're they're not high fidelity modules like the rest, the fully clickable cockpits and whatnot, but you do get 5 planes, if not more. I think 6 if you count that variant of the flanker that they throw in there, the Chinese variant. And just more content than you're ever going to get with any of these other modules. Now this is nighttime, and it looks rather different at night. Can't say it looks great, can't say it looks terrible, it just looks dark. And like from the cockpit, everything is so much darker. Externally, at least you can kind of make things out a little bit. Just got that red hue going on. This is a nice little like harbor village or whatever, you know, a port in the region. But it's just so red. Boom. Let's kick them burners in. I love the F-15. It's too bad there's no high fidelity module for it. Ready, KA-50, free flight. Mirage. This is interesting. There's an air combat World War II mission for the Mirage, and it's basically like, you've been transported back in time, and your mission is to take out as many World War II fighters as you can, But I haven't figured out the Mirage that good yet to pull it off. But it looks nice. But again, it's that quilt, that patchwork quilt terrain again. MiG-21, nothing. Mi-8, nothing. SA-342, nothing. Spitfire. This is what gets me. This is what I'm getting at. So if you own the Spitfire and you bought the Normandy map and you have the World War II assets package, like, look, That's the same thing you get for everything. The Persian Gulf, you get nothing. But for Normandy, you think they would have given you a little bit more. But for Normandy, you actually get less than Nevada map. Really, guys? The free flight's rather nice, though, because you get to see, I think there's a B-17G that starts off to my right here. Yeah, there it is. So that's kind of cool and all. Now I feel like I'm in World War II. I'm in a Warbird in my Spitfire. Seems like the little area they picked here to start this is a really nice area, because you got a nice little village down there. And there's a couple P-51s doing their own thing over here. There's a nice little town up ahead here. There's an air base back to that way. This is like a little harbor. Another little port town with industry. Another little town over there. But again, if you own a Warbird, you'd think you would get a little more than that. SU-25, surprisingly, for the free planes, you've always got missions. Kind of weird. Do the free flight in the TF-51D. And this is kind of neat, because by doing this mission, I actually found the area where the harbor strike mission from the Viggen takes place. Up ahead here. And this plane right here is the free plane. But it's the Mustang without any guns. Boring. I guess it is fun to kind of fly around and, you know, fly. But up ahead here, off to my left and across the channel a little bit, is that little harbor that the harbor strike mission takes place in. So I thought that was kind of neat. And again, some areas are more densely populated than others, so there are definitely areas that look nicer than others on the Normandy map. But overall, to me, it looks like the Normandy map is best suited for World War II stuff. Aside from the couple of cool missions that they have for the modern jets, like the Harbor Strike mission. Or the go back in time with the Mirage and, you know, take out some German warbirds. Even at 100%, these trees are drawing in. But if you look closely, I don't know if you could see it, but before the leaves actually all draw in, they look like sticks up ahead. It's pretty annoying. And the water, like the ground where it meets the water formations here, looks kind of weird too. I don't know, something just doesn't look right about it. Especially that right there too. But if we continue to shoot across this way here, we eventually end up at a neat little harbor. And there's one over there too. But this takes forever and a day in a Warbird. Sometimes wish I did pick up the Mustang instead of the Spitfire. is the Spitfire is modeled so realistically well that it's next to impossible to keep straight on a taxiway and then on the runway to get it into the air. It's just difficult. You got to do this kind of weird, you know, braking and giving so much throttle and braking and giving so much throttle, and then, you know, hitting your pedals just a little bit to keep it moving steadily in a single direction. And it's just weird. I don't really grasp it that well. Oh, you know what? I think that's it right there, actually. No, that's a different area, but it still looks cool too. There's a lot of neat little port towns here. Alrighty. And that's pretty much it. UH1 has nothing, A4 has nothing, so that's the Normandy map. And then for campaigns that utilize the Normandy map, the two campaigns I have for the Spitfire are ones that I purchased separately because the Spitfire unfortunately doesn't even come with a campaign. And both of these utilize the map. And I think this one here, if I start it, just for the hell of it, to show you guys, because I have the World War II Assets package as well, you get all these little period 3D modeled soldiers and vehicles and structures, which is pretty cool. But again, I don't know that any of that stuff is worth $30, you know. I don't even know that it's worth $15, which is what you know, pay when it's on sale. But if you look closely, there's all these little infantry dudes walking around and kind of doing their own thing, which is pretty cool. You got little vehicles riding along doing their thing, so they've tried hard to do a good job, and I'm not going to knock them for that. My only complaint is that, like I said, you know, the cost of admission is super high, and, you know, if you're not ready to just create all of your own missions or download some that somebody else has created, you know, what you're going to do with this stuff that you get is pretty limited. There's an AI Spitfire doing his own thing there over the field. And then there's a bunch of cool period naval ships and stuff as well. And I'm pretty sure that there are, if you had the Mustang or the German Focke-Wulf 190s or whatever, you know, you could get other missions for them as well, but I don't know what they include. But as you see, in the overall scheme of things, the Normandy map is probably the one that has the least amount of content for it that isn't created by users. You know what I mean? Like out of the box stuff. Yeah, BF 109, I don't know what that comes with. Or the FW 190, Dora, or A8, I don't know what those guys come with either. But I'd imagine the Normandy map is where all the action's going to happen, and you're going to need that if you're going to do any of the World War II stuff. So, that is the DCS Normandy 1944 map, and as always, thanks for watching. Feel free to hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, And until next time.